A political tug-of-war over clean energy funding nearly derailed a critical project for Alaska's future. But now, a massive $50 million initiative to power up the state's electric vehicle infrastructure is roaring back to life. This dramatic reversal of fortune promises to reshape transportation in the last frontier. But the road ahead is far from smooth. Here's the backstory. Earlier this year, the U.S. Department of Transportation, acting on directives from the Trump administration, abruptly froze all funding for the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure (NEVI) program. This program, a key part of the bipartisan infrastructure law passed in 2021, had set aside a total of $5 billion to help states build charging networks along highway corridors. For Alaska, this meant a planned $50 million project to address its unique transportation challenges was suddenly put on indefinite hold. But here's where it gets controversial. Just this month, the administration was forced to reverse its decision. A judge ruled in favor of a coalition of several states that had sued to stop the funding freeze. While Alaska itself was not part of that lawsuit, it stands to benefit directly from the outcome. "We've got a whole new life for electric vehicles," declared Curtis Thayer, the executive director of the Alaska Energy Authority, AEA. The program is back on. The timing is critical. Adoption of electric vehicles in Alaska, while starting from a small base, is accelerating rapidly. State data shows the number of EVs on the road has more than doubled in recent years, climbing to nearly 4,000 registered vehicles. However, this still represents less than 1% of the over 600,000 total vehicles in the state, highlighting a massive growth opportunity and a pressing need for supporting infrastructure. And this is the part most people miss. Growth faces unique Alaskan obstacles. In a recent and startling development, a major ocean carrier, Alaska Marine Lines, announced it would no longer ship electric vehicles to the state due to concerns over fire risks from their lithium-ion batteries. This creates a significant potential speed bump for adoption. However, advocates like Thayer remain optimistic, believing that as automakers roll out more electric trucks and SUVs, vehicle types Alaskans know and love, demand will continue to surge regardless. An expanded and reliable charging network is seen as the essential key to unlocking that future growth. This new federal funding isn't the state's first foray into building a charging network. In recent years, the AEA, partnering with private companies, used over $1 million from the Volkswagen emissions scandal settlement to fund a small initial network along the populated Railbelt region. This corridor, stretching from Homer and Seward in the south to Healy in the north, features 9 charging stations spaced roughly 100 miles apart or less. But here's a point that sparks strong opinions. The existing network has major problems. Dimitri Shane, head of the Alaska Electric Vehicle Association, calls the resumption of funding good news, but is quick to offer a blunt critique of the previous effort. He points out that nearly all of the existing stations are already obsolete, plagued by broken equipment, outdated technology, or defunct manufacturers who went out of business. This raises a critical question for the new project. How do we ensure history doesn't repeat itself? So who is responsible when a charging station fails? This is a complex and often controversial aspect of public-private partnerships. Thayer explains that for the initial network, the AEA provided grants to site hosts, like retail stores, who were then responsible for choosing the vendor, handling installation, and, crucially, maintaining the equipment. When manufacturer FreeWire went under, the AEA stepped in with extra funds to convert the software, a move Thayer defended by saying, "It wasn't our fault, but if we can at least bridge them so the charging stations are useful, we want to do that." This hands-off approach is now under scrutiny as the state plans for a much larger, more reliable system. Another challenge, Alaska is playing catch-up. Sheen notes that many other states had already begun building stations before the federal freeze, leaving Alaska behind. This illustrates that AEA needs to really move fast, What seems to happen is that a lot of years get spent on planning and nothing is built, he stated. Thayer pushes back on this, providing crucial national context. The NEVI program has been slow everywhere. He revealed that only about 50 charging stations have actually opened across the entire United States under the program, with a staggering backlog of over 1,000 awaiting federal approval. In Alaska, the AEA had already selected 9 new stations that met all requirements over 2 years ago, but they were stuck in bureaucratic limbo awaiting a green light from Washington that never came. Now, with the program reopened, there is renewed hope. Kirk Martakis, an EV owner from Cantwell, says he is somewhat hopeful the new effort will be implemented properly, especially since Tesla, renowned for its reliable supercharger network, won 4 of the 9 initial bids in the state. Thayer also confirms that the newly issued federal guidelines are more flexible, removing overly rigid requirements like mandating stations be placed exactly 50 miles apart, which is a poor fit for Alaska's vast and remote geography. The approval process has also been streamlined, requiring less information from the state, which should help accelerate progress. The AEA aims to submit an updated plan to federal agencies by September. The goal is not only to upgrade the existing rail belt corridor with faster, more modern chargers, but to eventually expand into other crucial areas like Valdez, Delta Junction, Kodiak, and Juneau. This entire situation invites a bigger debate. Is the federal government's stop-start approach to energy policy helping or hindering progress at the state level? And can a state as unique as Alaska, with its extreme weather and vast distances, ever have an EV network as reliable as those in the lower 48? What do you think? Is this $50 million investment a crucial step into the future or a potential misuse of funds in a state where some argue other priorities are more pressing? Share your thoughts in the comments. We're curious to know where you stand.